What makes human beings great? Because we can biologically procreate? No, because then we are basically sharing the same level of development with alligators, elephants, dogs, and pigs. Right? So because we share the biological level of this experience doesn't particularly draw attention to what we could say is actually great or magnificent, but in terms of our creative gifts and creative potential, what we have given rise to. Now part of what we've given rise to also is, and of course integral philosophy helps us to understand this, is we've given rise to the within of the universe, the within, the interior of the universe, the interior of the whole process, which is not just mind. It is mind, but it's not only mind. And it's within this interiority that has emerged as the brain complexified and grew bigger and bigger, this capacity for interiority, right, which includes the emergence of thought and the capacity for cognition and complex cognition, but there's something else that's emerging throughout all this, and that's what we're all sharing here, which is this unavoidable sense or direct experience of or reckoning with that it means something to exist. It means something. We experience the fact that it means something to exist. You experience and I experience and we experience that it means something to exist. So we realize this is not merely a biological process, right? This is not merely a biological process, because within our capacity for interiority and more complex interiority, there emerges within human beings this sense that it means something to exist. It means something, and that's why sensitive, thoughtful human beings awaken to and experience a sense of purpose, purposefulness, meaning and meaningfulness, beyond just the fact that civilized people should cease to harm each other. That there's a meaning in existence itself that transcends the end of conflict. That transcends the end of conflict, that there's meaning in all this, that transcends merely the cessation of conflict. You follow? It means something to exist itself means something. It means something sacred. That is what human beings have been experiencing for thousands of years, is that it means something there's something sacred about what's happening here. But also it's the fact that we're going somewhere. You see? That's what's the newly emergent revelation, is that it means something to exist. Number one, it means something to exist. I feel, I know, in a way that I can't even explain to you, and that you know and you experience and you feel that it means something the way it means something to exist. That's one part of it. But the other is, within the fact that it means something to exist, we're going somewhere. We're on a journey, right? And the way to know that is you should look at where we've come from, right? We came from no thing at all, and then we became energy and matter, which became life, which became mind. And this was a long 14 billion year journey, right? Life emerged about 4 billion years ago. The Earth, 5 billion. The universe, 14 billion. There's something happening here. We're on a journey. So these two facts, that it means something to exist. I know, you know, I experience, I feel that it means something to exist. So this is the new enlightenment, that it means something to exist, and most importantly, that we're going somewhere. And who is it that's going? Right? The whole thing. Right? It's not you particularly, or me particularly, or them, or it. It's all of it. Right? It's going somewhere. And when you awaken to what we've been speaking about, which is non-duality, the fact that there's only one and not two, and you begin to focus on the absolute nature of the desire to exist, you experience the desire to exist as the whole, right? The desire to exist as the whole process, the entire creative process is one. The desire to exist is one. And then you recognize that the creative inspiration in the cosmos that gave rise to energy and matter and life and mind, which you experience as the sexual impulse, as your own creative potential as a human being. You all have creative potential. This dynamic, extraordinary creative potential exists within you and within me. And then the highest expression of that creative potential is the spiritual potential. The spiritual potential we experience as the mysterious compulsion to know and to understand. It's the compulsion towards consciousness. It's the spiritual impulse. It's the compulsion toward consciousness. I want to become more conscious. I have to become more conscious. I must become more conscious. It's a drive that's coming from your own deepest interiors that are not personal. Why have human beings felt? Why do you feel compelled to become more conscious? You're compelled. Why did you come on this retreat with me? Because you were compelled to become more conscious. Where does it come from? It's not merely a personal aspiration. It's a drive in the creative process itself. It's a drive deep in the interior, not in the exterior as matter. So it's not in the exterior, but deep in the most interior domain of the creative process itself. It's a drive towards self-knowing, towards consciousness itself. And it's not only a drive towards self-knowing, I want to know who I am, right? I want to know who I am. It used to be, I want to know who I am. But now I want to know who I am, and I want to become more and more and more of who I am. You follow? That's new. I want to become more and more and more of who I am, infinitely. Right? I said it for eternity. I want to become more and more and more of who I am. Now, if you just stand back and extrapolate and step out of yourself, that seems to be happening in the creative process as it took the leap from nothing to energy, to matter, to life, to mind, to culture. It seems to be happening anyway. But when you suddenly awaken to that cosmic aspiration, to that drive, in and as yourself, that's what you awaken to. I want to know who I am, and I want to become more and more and more of who I am, could be, can be, eternally, right? And that's eternally, forever. You follow? That's what it is. And how you experience it is you experience as creative inspiration, ecstatic creative inspiration. Ecstatic means joyful, overwhelming, joyful, ecstatic, creative inspiration, and it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It will consume you. If you allow it to, it will consume you. It will overwhelm you. And when it overwhelms you, what happens is you awaken to the thing itself, and when you awaken to the thing itself, you experience an overwhelming and unending and relentless sense of urgency, urgency, urgency about giving rise to that which is new unendingly. And it overwhelms you, and that's when you become one with the thing itself. You and this drive in the cosmos become one. At that point, at that point in your development, your body-mind personality, your frontal personality, merely becomes a sheath or a layer through which the energy and intelligence that created the universe and is creating the universe can engage with the process very directly. Because at that point, the ego has been subsumed, right? The agenda of the ego, of the separate self, has been subsumed, and now it's being overwhelmed by this driving force in the universe itself, the creative impulse, the evolutionary impulse, the energy and intelligence that created the universe and is creating the universe has subsumed the fears and desires of the small self, and now it's come to the front. So now the body and the mind and the personality are merely vehicles through which this primordial drive in the cosmos can manifest itself in and through the world that it gave rise to. You see how it works? And so, getting back to what I was speaking about earlier, this kind of enlightenment, to me, is infinitely more relevant to the complex, rapidly expanding and complexifying world that we're living in today.